All right, we're going to be looking at lesson 1-8, and it's just an introduction into equations. Okay, we have two objectives here. One, we're going to be translating verbal expressions into an equation form, so very similar to something that we did back in early in chapter 1. And then we're also going to determine if a number is a solution of an equation. I forgot to go ahead and take out ordered pair. We're not going to work with ordered pairs right now. We're just going to work on is a number a solution to an equation. Okay, so first off, we need to know what an equation is. It's a mathematical sentence that has an equal sign. So remember, expressions had no equal sign. Equations will have an equal sign. And then the next vocabulary that we need to know is open sentence. Now, this won't be something that's on a test, but you need to understand that it's going to have one or more variables. And when I plug in the number, so here we're going to be working on plugging in the number, we're going to figure out, is it true or false? So does it work or does it not work? Okay? So looking at the first example here, we're going to figure out if 6 is actually an answer. So we're going to take the 6 and we're just going to plug it in and see if it works. So I get 32 equals 2 times 6 plus 12. All right, and so we're going to work on this side first. We're going to get an answer over here and we're going to see, does it equal 32? So 2 times 6, you got to follow your order of operations. 12 plus 12 equals 24. So now if I'm going back and looking at this, does 32 equal 24? No, it does not. So that is a false statement. Or you could say, no, it is not a solution. Okay? All right, so let's go to the next one here and look at this one. Okay, so same concept. We're just going to take this guy and plug it in and see if it works. So I'm going to take this and plug it in for the m. So 6 times 1/2 minus 8 equals -5. Okay, so again, I'm going to be working this side of my equation over here, and I'm going to work it out using PEMDAS rules. So I'm going to take half of 6, because we do our multiplication first. So half of 6 is 3, minus 8, and we're going to figure out, does that equal -5? Well, 3 minus 8, different sign, subtract. So you get 5, you have more negatives, so we're going to end up with a -5 equals -5. So yes, this is an answer. This works. So again, you can say true, or you can say yes, it is a solution. Okay. All right. I want you to take a second. I want you to go ahead and pause the video here on C, and I want you to try C on your own. And when you think you've got an answer, push play and see if you got it right. Okay, so you should have plugged in -8 in for A, so you have 9 times -8. Now I'm going to go ahead and make this guy right here, this double negative, a positive. Okay, so I'm going to put plus 72, and that's going to equal 0. Okay, so again, order of operations says I need to do my multiplication first. So 9 times 8 is 72. A positive times a negative is a -72. Plus 72 equals 0. So is that going to give us 0? Yes, it is. So is this a solution? Yes. Or like I said, true. Either one would work. Okay? All right, and let's slide over here to D. Now D is just a touch different. If we look at this equation here, we have a y here and a y here. So you're going to plug that -3 into the y and to the first y. So they got to go into both. So it'll look like 3 times -3 plus 6. And we need to figure out, does that equal 5 times -3 minus 8? Okay, so now again, order of operations says we do our multiplication first. So 3 times -3, -9 plus 6. Different signs, so we subtract and get 3. And since I have more negatives, it's going to be a -3. Okay, so now I'm going to work the other side of my equation. Okay, so I'm going to work this guy over here. So I'm going to take 5 times -3 and get -15 minus 8. Okay, so now I can kind of tell right off the bat here, this is not going to get me a -3. It doesn't matter, add, subtract, whatever. We're not going to get -3. But since they're same signs, we would technically add them up and get -23. So those clearly do not work. So is this a solution? No. And again, if you put false, that's fine too. Okay? All right, and let's go ahead and drop down now to our second example. In our second example here, this is where we're basically going to take the word phrases or the verbal expressions, and we're just going to make an equation out of them now. Okay, so it's the same thing we were working on in chapter 1. So you're just breaking down the words. So the sum, so sum means parentheses with addition, Okay, then what am I going to add up? 4 times x, so 4x, and -3, -3. Okay, now this is a new word. This is the word that we need to learn in this unit. Is. Is will mean equal. So anytime you see the word is, that means equal 8. So now when I'm looking at this guy over here on this side, it's okay if you choose to drop off and not have the parentheses and say like plus -3 equals 8. That would work. And then some of you guys are even going to ask me, you know, do we have to put the plus sign there? Could we technically say 4x minus 3 equals 8? And the answer is yes. All 3 of these options will get you full credit. Okay? All right, let's go ahead and try the next one. The product of 9, so the product means multiply, and the sum. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start 9 times, sum means parentheses with addition, of 6 and x. Now this one's a little easier, is equal to, but again, there's that is word popping up, okay? So is equal to 1. All right, let's go and flip over to the next. All right, now these guys are a little bit different, okay? These are real world problems where we are going to have to write an equation, okay? So let's go ahead and read through the first one. An athlete trains for 115 minutes each day for as many days as possible, okay? So 115 minutes each day. Write an equation that relates the number of days D, okay? D, we're going to have to use that D. We can't make up our own one when they tell you that D is day. In fact, I'm going to highlight that right here, okay? D is day. That the athlete spend training when the athlete trains for 690 minutes. Okay, so when I'm thinking about writing an equation here, I have a total. I'm going to zoom in here real quick. Okay, so I have a total. My total is 690 minutes. So 690 minutes is my total. And that's going to equal 115 minutes each day. Okay, and then how many days? That's what we don't know. So if we're doing 115 minutes a day, it'll be 115 times how many ever days, and we're going to get a total of 690. Now, you may not be very good at these right away, and that's okay. You just have to try something until we start getting some right, okay? Now, on a side note here, some of you would have maybe told me, well, can't we just divide the two numbers and come up with an answer? And the answer is yes. So if you would have said like 690 divided by 115, because you're going to say, well, I'm just going to divide them and that'll tell me how many days I have, that would also get you full credit. So it doesn't matter if you write it like this or you write it like this, they're going to end up being the same thing. Because just keep in mind, I mean, we're getting ready to do this, but this is saying times, right? And we would divide both sides by 115. And so that is the same thing as this guy over here, okay? So that is why I'll accept both red answers. Okay, I want you to pause the video. I want you to read through example D here, and I want to see, go ahead and try it, see what you come up with, and then push play and see if you got it right. Okay, so looking at D here, it says the manager of a restaurant earns $2.25 more each hour than the host of the restaurant. So manager's making a little more. Write an equation that relates the amount H, okay, so amount H here, that the host earns each hour when the manager earns $11.50 each hour, okay? So we know the manager makes more money. So some of you guys would have said, okay, well, if I know the manager makes $11.50 and that's going to be $2.25 more than the host, you would just subtract $2.25 off, and that would be how much they're going to make per hour, okay? Another option is to say, okay, I don't know what the host makes plus $2.25, and that should equal the manager at $11.50, okay? So there's a couple of different options. Again, just keep trying until we start getting them right. All right, that concludes the notes for lesson 1-8.